What is up, guys? Aksis here, and today we're going to be taking a look, going over the stats and the perks, as well as doing a mini review of all of the different Wrath of the Machine exotic weapons. Now, there is one OG exotic Wrath weapon attainable through an exotic quest, but all of the other exotic Adept primaries were added with the Age of Triumph, and they are attainable by doing the challenge modes that are active when the Wrath of the Machine is the weekly featured raid, which this week it is. So, let's get started, and I think it's only appropriate to start out with the OG exotic Wrath weapon, the Outbreak Prime. This is one of the coolest and actually most powerful guns in all of Destiny. It is acquirable through a very complicated exotic quest, which there will be an annotation right now to lead you to it if you're interested, but this weapon has several unique abilities. The first exotic perk is the Corruption Spreads. Essentially, when you shoot an enemy multiple times, you're going to trigger Siva swarms to spawn and attack that enemy. Very good for boss DPS. The other exotic perk is Virulence. When you get a headshot kill, you're going to also trigger those Siva swarms to spawn and attack any nearby enemies. Kind of a different way to do Firefly. So that is the uniqueness of the Outbreak. It spawns those Siva swarms against bosses and against normal enemies that you get headshot kills. The rest of the gun is just overall a pretty good, easy to use pulse rifle, and that's really all there is to it. It's essentially a pulse rifle with an arguably better Firefly effect that does more damage than normal, like way more damage than most other primary weapons against bosses. And you may be saying, wait a minute, those are all upsides. Those are all really good things. Yup, the Outbreak Prime is just incredibly powerful. Very, very good gun. Whenever there's something like small arms, this thing destroys. However, the interesting part is that, little known fact, small arms actually doesn't affect the Siva swarms. They still do the same amount of damage, but small arms will let you just get that effect more often, get more headshot kills, all of that stuff. Alright, now let's move on to the solar exotic weapons because there is two. And let's start out here with the Genesis Chain Auto Rifle. This is a very, very unique auto rifle. Firstly, this weapon and all of the other exotics we're going to see have the Whirlwind's Curse passive perk. This makes this weapon do bonus damage against Fallen, already quite useful, and then you also get an agility bonus when you have this weapon equipped. So you're getting some good and free stuff just by using this weapon. Now, importantly, it has the perk Focus Fire. When you aim down sights, the fire rate will slow down and the damage will increase. This is combined with the special perk for this weapon. I guess now you could call it an exotic perk, Focused Firefly. When you are utilizing Focus Fire, any headshot kills you gain will cause Firefly, cause an explosion that hurts nearby enemies. Okay, so auto rifles don't spawn with Firefly, so already this is the first big advantage. You're getting Firefly from an auto rifle, and getting Focused Firefly, like you are able to trigger Firefly against lower tier enemies a ridiculous amount. If there's a bunch of acolytes or a bunch of taken scions multiplying and coming at you, and you have the Genesis Chain, it is just meant for that kind of scenario. You mow through those low tier enemies so fast, and that's what makes this gun very, very powerful in PvE. In fact, this may be arguably the best solar exotic primary weapon in the game. Its other main competitor, I would say, is firstly the Smite of Moraine from the King's Fall. That also has Firefly and it is a pulse rifle, and then you have the Vex Mythoclast. But in terms of spreading damage around, the Genesis Chain is pretty much unparalleled. Moving on, we have the other solar weapon from Wrath, the Fever and Remedy Hand Cannon. Now, overall, this is a very solid hand cannon. You've got Whirlwind's Curse, you've got the reactive reload perk. Now, what this does is that when you reload this weapon after getting a kill, it will do more damage than normal. So, pretty useful, pretty easy to trigger, and this is combined with the special perk, Quick Reaction. When reactive reload is active, you gain increased agility. So if you get a kill with the Fever and Remedy, and then you reload your gun, not only are you getting a good damage bonus, but you're also moving faster. You're getting that agility bonus as well. The agility bonus is also substantial enough that you actually notice it. If you're running around and then you get a kill and reload and you start running around again, you'll notice you're moving a little bit faster, which is pretty cool. You can also use Accurized Ballistics, which lets you get a little bit more impact than normal, letting you out DPS other hand cannons. So overall, this is a pretty damn good hand cannon. It has a lot of good things going for it. However, it's nowhere near as close to being as good as the Fatebringer, because with hand cannons in PvE, you really want those explosive rounds. You really want to be able to spread around your damage, and the Fever and Remedy just can't do that. So it's a very good gun. It's just that there's better guns is the problem. Moving on from there, we have the Void exotic adept weapon, the Steel Medulla Pulse Rifle. I love this gun. I think this is one of the best PvE weapons in the game. And the reason being is just because it has so many things going for it. You get Whirlwind's Curse, then you get unbelievable stats. Like, I have basically maxed out stability and still have a good range. Like, what is this gun? And then you get full auto, so it's so easy to use. And then you get this special perk, Sign of 4. Now what this perk does is that once you get the 4th burst on an enemy, so the first 3 bursts won't do anything, but the 4th burst will do bonus damage. It's about 33% more damage. So that's not a ton, but when you're using this weapon against a boss or against a higher tier enemy like an Aksis Minotaur, where you are going to need those many shots on target, this weapon is just doing more damage than other pulse rifles. Just more damage, while also having incredible stats. So there's just no downside to this weapon really. It's just all positives, and that's why I love it. Now yes, the slight disadvantage when compared to other weapons is that it has a hard time spreading its damage around. Like compared to the Genesis Chain, this thing is going to have a little bit of a harder time dealing with a bunch of adds. You have to shoot them individually. However, a fully automatic pulse rifle with insane accuracy that has incredible ease of use is not really hard to just bounce around from kill to kill to kill, mowing down a bunch of enemies. And this weapon does have, again, that advantage of the Sign of 4 perk being very good against bosses. Yes, you know, you would rather use a sleeper simulant or a sniper against a boss, absolutely, but every once in a while you're going to run out of ammo, or you're, at the tail end of a damage phase and you don't want to commit to a few more shots, so you just whip out your primary, and then again, this weapon is out DPSing other primaries because of that Sign of 4 perk, so it's a very, very well-rounded weapon. But my love affair with the Steel Medulla has to end because we need to move on to the last exotic primary weapon from the Wrath of the Machine, the Chaos Dogma Scout Rifle. This weapon is very, very powerful. It has the combination of, firstly, triple tap with the high impact scout rifles, this is one of them, is very powerful. It's going to let you extend your already large 16 round magazine, which you get when you're using extended magazine. But the highlight is definitely the unique perk Triple Double. When you activate triple tap, you don't just get 1 round back, you get 2 rounds back. So when you are using this weapon and getting rapid precision kills over and over again, which happens all the time when you're versing a boss. This weapon has outrageous DPS. You can truly go entire damage phases without having to reload. Like if you were in the Wrath of the Machine, damaging Vosik and hitting all of your rounds, you can pretty much start shooting at the beginning of the damage phase and you won't have to stop shooting until the very end. This weapon is insanely powerful in that regard. However, in terms of pure DPS numbers, you are still much better off using a sniper usually, or, the sleeper simulant, the Galahorn, something like that. But having a primary weapon that packs that much of a punch if you are out of ammunition for those other weapons, or if you have an anti-add secondary or heavy, if you're rocking a machine gun to deal with adds, or if you're rocking a shotgun to deal with adds, this can be your boss killer, and it seriously is comfortable in that position. Against adds, however, it's not that amazing. It doesn't have anything to spread around the damage. You would much rather have something like explosive rounds in that regard. But it does have one problem. It's arc. And there's a lot of competition with other arc exotic primaries. The Fatebringer, the Praetorius Timepiece, the Oversoul Edict, the Necrochasm, and even the Zalo Supercell are all very, very powerful weapons. This might actually be the best for, if there's ever arc burn plus small arms, this thing is going to crush bosses. It's going to be disgusting. So definitely whip it out for that occasion. But normally, I think a Fatebringer is going to serve you better if you're doing something like a Strike or a Nightfall. It's just so much better with dealing with adds. Now, in the end, however, all of the Wrath of the Machine exotics are quite powerful. They all have unique perks that can't spawn normally, and a lot of the times those unique perks, as seen on the Genesis Chain, as seen on the Chaos Dogma, and the Steel Medulla, and even the Fever and Remedy, are powerful abilities that make these weapons very desirable. Definitely worth trying to get these weapons if you can. And so guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this little look into all of the different Wrath exotics. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.